Thank you, George.
Is this really you giving the talk?
What is real life, George? Thank you very much for the introduction. Let me see if it's running. Oh, okay. This is my disclosure, and that's important for that presentation. Sorry. So what we're going to talk about this 10 minutes is the importance of planning, the market options that we have, how to plan an anatomic and how to plan a reverse. We've seen this a lot today and yesterday, but we're going to see a little bit more. So why do we need to plan? Well, because we want to restore our patient's anatomy, we want to evaluate the implant position, because we want stability, durability, and a good function, of course. So first, we were taught that we should exposure our glenoid, put a guide that blocks our view, just like that, and using the force, like Yoda taught us, we drill, and we think we are in the correct position. That's it. Well, it shifts a little bit. Did you see? Well, maybe now it's the correct position. Okay. Well, when you have a glenoid like that, okay, you put the guide in the middle of the glenoid. It will be right in the middle of the glenoid, and the implant will be correctly positioned. And for that, we just don't need to use the force. But we are not the same. We see lots of different patients, so we cannot use the same implant for the same patient, okay? So let's figure out this patient with a retroversion. Should we put an anatomical implant like that? Or maybe like that? This is the correct position. I think it's a little bit too much, retroversion. So let's put a reverse, but well, that's not correct too. It lacks of bone contact, so let's put retroverted, or let's choose another solution, maybe a graft or maybe a augmented implant. But to make all these decisions I just showed you in some seconds, you have to understand the anatomy of our patient. So you have to plan. You have to have an exam and understand how to plan. Because sometimes we have some retroversions, some very great inclinations, and sometimes we have very, very, very bad glenoids. So this is one example. Okay, let's use our force. Let's put implant, lots of osteophytes. Bang, it's looking upside. So if you don't plan, you're going to do something like that, although some inclination, okay, but not like that. So we have to do like that. Now we have a challenge. We're going to medialize a little bit, we're going to lateralize with graft, whatever you want. My choice would be metal in this case, so I would do like that. So how can we do this? Well, there are lots of options in the market. I'm going to show the software I use, that I helped to develop, and the blueprint. For anatomic, well, anatomic is all the same. You can choose whatever you want. It's most small, medium, and large, any implant. So use the software you want. With the implant you want, you will be okay for planning. I'm going to show how to plan an anatomic with the Equinox software, very quick. I think there are some QR codes on this presentation, and on this QR code there is a lecture that I go step by step how to do this planning. So this is just to show how I do my planning on the Exatech software. So I suggest using any software for anatomic, whatever you have. Just choose from PEG, Q, large, small, and or even extra large. But reverse is a different reverse. There are different sizes of the verse. So I suggest you know how is your reverse. Imagine that you don't have tourniquet. I don't have tourniquet. So we have to understand how is your implant. If your implant is an oval shape, if your implant is a round shape, you can see lots of implants have round shapes. And know the diameter of your base plate. That's important, because you're going to use that to use George software, which is Blueprint. So if you know the diameter of your implant, you can pretty much use any software to have a good estimation of how you want to perform a surgery. Imagine that you don't have the DGO software, but you know it's a 26 diameter base plate. Okay, let's use 25 in Blueprint. So that's my suggestion. Use a software like Blueprint to plan your round glenoids, which is free. If you don't have a software in your company, or you don't have a software for the implant you choose, so just take in consideration that Blueprint, the Stryker's glenosphere is 29 and 25, yes. If you have a 26, let 1 millimeter of difference, and you have a pretty good estimation, of course, because the pegs are different, the position of the screws, of course, are different. They have to be different, so, but it gives you a very good estimation. So here is my suggestion, using Blueprint. Or we can do manually. We did the planning with Achilles. Achilles is not here now, but yesterday we sit together and we did the planning manually. This is something that I advocate a lot, to learn how to plan manually. So you use the CT scan, you use a free software called Mesh Mixer, and you can do pretty much anything you want. It's hard, sorry, it is, takes time, yes, but gives you freedom. So why sometimes I do my planning manually? Because I have a freedom, I don't need any company. I can do for whatever implant I want. I can do for every patient, for a revision. I know Blueprint has revision, but okay, depends on the protocol. And I can do for every surgery, and I can also create my own guides, just like Dr. Castanha is doing. So these are examples of how we can also plan manually different kinds of surgery, and we can use, of course, prototype guides and even patient-specific grafts for this case. And the ability to plan it manually gives you option to do whatever you want with that planning. For example, from Exatech software and from Blueprint software, you are pretty much in that software, you cannot export anything. So if you want to use even mixed reality, if you want to use VR, this is a VR planning. If you want to use your iPhone during the surgery, I don't know. Sorry, you will still have to plan a little bit manually because we cannot export your planning from these company softwares. So my take-home message is, in NASA, failure is not an option. Not planning a reverse total shoulder or a total shoulder arthroplasty, for me, is not an option. And my suggestion for you is to have at least some member of your team, a resident, a fellow, doesn't need anyone, to learn a little bit about 3D modeling, to learn a little bit about 3D printing, to learn a little bit about mixed reality, VR, to help you in difficult cases. It's difficult to plan manually, but I'm pretty much someone can do. And now you have two homeworks: prompt engineering for AI and 3D modeling. Sorry.